Hi, this is Clark. Welcome to the Entrances to the Inner Earth. This channel will be presenting the accumulation of my research into the alternative ancient history subject, extreme human antiquity, and the connections to extraterrestrials and UFOs. After researching these subjects for 15 plus years, I have concluded the connecting thread between these subjects is the existence of inner Earth civilizations and the relationship between the inner Earth and the surface world. This first picture that you see here is of City of Rocks National Reserve in Idaho, USA. All over the world, there are entrances to the inner Earth. These sites are marked by unusual rock formations and geological features. Frequently, they can be identified in the form of stone forests. Once again, this photo is from City of Rocks, Idaho. Approximately 12,000 plus years ago and beyond, Earth civilization existed on both the surface of the Earth and the inner Earth. This age of civilization is commonly referred to as the Age of Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, and the Hopi Third World. Once again, this is City of Rocks, Idaho. During this age of civilization, the inhabitants could traverse between the surface world and the inner Earth through access points around the world. These access points were marked by monumental stone structures, buildings, and statues. On the opposite side of these entrances would be a corresponding inner Earth city, surface city, or settlement. These sites where these entrances were constructed are located at volcanic and tectonic locations. These junctures in the Earth's crust are what gives access through the crust of the Earth. The natural rock was used, and in many cases, natural rock formations were converted into buildings and structures. This photo and the previous are also City of Rocks, Idaho. Approximately 12,000 plus years ago, the Earth civilizations, Atlantis, Mu, etc., learned of pending catastrophes and disasters that would destroy the surface world. These disasters would take the form of biblical flooding, solar flares, meteorite impacts, and massive tectonic shifts in the Earth's crust. These mass destruction events have been well established by Graham Hancock, Robert Schoch, Randall Carlson, and others as the meltdown of the last ice age, or the Younger Dryas, circa 12,900 years ago to 11,700 years ago. And if anybody knows where the term Younger Dryas comes from, who coined the term Younger Dryas, please leave that information in the comments below. And this rock formation here is called the Flaming Rock at City of Rocks, Idaho. The Atlanteans, Lemurians, and other cultures resolved to retreat into the inner Earth in anticipation of the destruction of the surface world. Essentially, they sealed off the entrances to the inner Earth and abandoned the surface world. This photograph is at the Infernillo at Marcahuasi, Peru. The cataclysms of the Younger Dryas period devastated any structures on the surface of the world. to the extent that massive stone buildings are now considered natural geological formations. What remains are severely damaged ruins of colossal stone structures. Scientists will say these geological formations are the product of volcanic activity, plate tectonics, and erosion, all of which are true. However, many are ancient destroyed stone buildings, monuments, and structures. This is Marcahuasi, Peru, near the Fortaleza. The sites where these entrances were constructed are located at volcanic, tectonic locations. These junctures are what gives access through the crust of the earth. The natural rock was used, and in many cases, natural rock formations were converted into buildings and structures. The volcanic and tectonic plate junctures of these locations is part of why the entrances were located there. A volcanic or tectonic plate juncture is essentially a passageway into the earth. Once again, this is the Infernillo at Marcahuasi, Peru. The prior photo was also Marcahuasi, Peru. And you can see with the Infernillo, this is a crevice in the rock. Many people have tried to excavate this and get down into the mountain. There's a legend, goes back to about the 1950s, of a man that did in fact enter the mountain through this entranceway, and he was discovered days later at the bottom of the mountain and was rendered insane, apparently, after traversing through the inside of Marcahuasi. Descendants of this age of civilization still reside in the inner earth. The evidence for this is the high frequency of UFO sightings at these locations. This is the Monument to Humanity at Marcahuasi, Peru. And if you look at the base, I am sitting on it at the bottom to give you a sense of scale. The access points to and from the inner earth still exist and are used to this day. However, one can no longer physically pass through these entrances. One must teleport through the passageways to the inner earth. This is done with electromagnetic craft, often referred to as UFOs. The craft must go to the site of the closed-off entrance and sync itself with the electromagnetic frequency of the site. Then the craft can teleport to the corresponding inner Earth settlement. The frequencies emanating from these places are usually considered high energy or even extra-dimensional. The energy corresponds to the adjacent inner Earth energy frequency. This is also Marcahuasi, Peru. Let me know in the comments if you see anything beyond the cliff face on the right side of the photo. Most, if not all, UFOs are in fact inner Earth residents rather than aliens from outer space. This photo is Marcahuasi, Peru as well. These entrances are frequently considered sacred and holy, and even hallowed, as in hollowed, perhaps. And this photo is Marcahuasi, and anybody that's been there can verify you will be walking around on these rocks, and you will hit a hollow spot with your feet, and it resonates. It's clearly an empty space beneath the surface of the rock. It's absolutely incredible. From about 12,000 years ago to the present day, there have been periods where the conditions of the surface world have stabilized for long enough that civilization could be rebuilt. This is the known history of ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, ancient Mexico, Peru, etc. In all cases, there is a story of civilization being wiped out from the surface world and gods descending to rebuild civilization. This photograph is Tiwanaku, Bolivia, which is the site of Kontiki Viracocha, who reestablished the human race after the surface world had been wiped out. Therefore, the surface world has been repopulated with one or more new human races, such as the Anunnaki creating the Adamites. This is how our modern human civilization came to exist on the surface world. This photograph is Marcahuasi, Peru. They call this figure the prophet. It's hard to see in a photograph, but when you're there, this is clearly an Anunnaki, ancient Sumerian figure. It's very clear with the beard, the hair, the whole thing. It's an Anunnaki or ancient Sumerian god at Marcahuasi, Peru. These progenitors of the human race may be the original mankind, whereas we refer to ourselves as humankind. This photograph is the wizard at Marcahuasi, Peru. One of the most incredible stone features of Marcahuasi. It literally is a face looking out to the right. Absolutely amazing. Was this person an Atlantean, perhaps? Or a Lemurian? Perhaps this is a historical figure that is completely unknown today. It remains to be seen if we surface humans are to be integrated into the inner Earth civilizations someday. Or will there be future destructions of the surface world, only to be repopulated with a new human race? The photographs in this presentation are of City of Rocks, National Reserve, Idaho, USA, and Marcahuasi, Peru. Look for more slideshow presentations of photos from each site and for future explorations. All photographs and written material by Clark Smith. And this is me at San Pedro de Costa, Peru. Marcahuasi is at the peak above my head. It's very hard to see in the photograph, but that is Marcahuasi, Peru. And what an amazing place. Thanks for watching. And this is the Monument to Humanity from a different angle at Marcahuasi, Peru. Stay tuned for future explorations.